Alrighty, so Renee wants to know, Glenn, do you ever get scared of not fact-checking or giving somebody the right advice? So Renee comes from overseas, she's a dietitian, but I think that we can approach this in just a general health professional way.
Yep.
As health professionals, do we ever get scared of giving people the wrong advice or not checking our facts correctly?
Well, I'll speak for myself.
Yep.
The answer is yes.
Yep, and so do I, definitely.
Yep. Okay, that's good.
All the time.
Yeah, look, I think you do. I honestly feel like the more I learn, the less doubtful I am.
Yes.
So I think that it is, I think Renee is sort of at the start of her career.
Yeah.
So the more you know, the more comfortable you'll get in your material.
Yeah.
But I will say a couple of things on doubts. One is that you are, compared to your clients, you're the expert.
Yeah.
So
they've come to you for a reason.
Yeah. So I think when I'm training psychologists to work one-on-one with people, at the beginning you're always a bit less confident in your knowledge and your experience, but you generally know a lot more than your client. So to them, you're still the expert.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I think we kind of need to fear people who never have doubts.
Yes.
We would
people
see,
who know everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we get so caught up in the research we've read or what we know to be true that sometimes that can leave us a bit inflexible with how we treat clients. So I think that having a few doubts is actually sometimes helpful.
Yeah. And can it make you go and look things up and learn a little bit more yourself as well? It's actually, it can be a real positive sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think there's nothing wrong with saying to your client, hey, you know what? I'm not quite sure about this, but let me check this in between our sessions. It sort of shows you're willing to learn, you're willing to extend yourself.
Exactly.
It's really good for rapport, which we know in both of our jobs. Half the therapy is just whether they like you or not.
Yeah. And so often I get asked by my clients, really particular products that I actually have I've never even heard of that product. So I will have to go and I will have to look it up. Sometimes I'll do it in the session with the client. I'll just be honest and say, look, to be honest, I've never actually heard of that product before. Give me a couple of seconds, let me look it up. And then if I still can't quite figure out what it's about or the general gist of it, I'll say, let me get back to you next time. And 9 times out of 10, they appreciate that a lot more than you fumbling through and trying to pretend like you do know the answer. At least you've given them some consistent or some actual advice based on, proper facts, that sort of thing, rather than trying to fumble through and pretend like you know it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I do exactly the same thing. So sometimes we'll be able to look at, I do it often with the latest kind of weight loss thing that's scientifically based. And my client will say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. And sometimes I can just jump on the internet and look at it and think, actually, no, that's not good at all for these reasons. And other times I'll look at it and think, this might be good. I kind of think that I'm a bit like my clients. I'm ever hopeful that there will be some scientifically proven permanent weight loss approach.
Gold standard.
and so I'll say to them, hey, let me check out this person's research. Often, unfortunately, I'm disappointed, but at least then we can come back the next time and have a good answer. Yeah,
and the client appreciates it so much more rather than you shutting it down, being like, I've never heard of it, probably not a good thing, don't even worry about it. They actually appreciate it so much more that you've taken the time, because they've obviously taken the time to bring you something that they want to know a little bit more about. And I generally say, even to my student dietitians or just the health professionals in general, most of our exams at university are open book. We are not expected to know everything. We just have to know where to look for it or where to go and find the answer or who to ask. We don't have to know everything.
And you will get clients who will stump you. You know, they'll come with this thing and they'll say, hey, have you heard of this challenge that I have? And you're kind of like, no.
Should I? It's always my first step. Should I have heard of that?
And so you can kind of reframe that into an opportunity for your learning. The other thing is, Leanne, both you and I are qualified health professionals who do a lot in the online space. So, and I know you answer a lot of questions via your Instagram, me via my YouTube. So what do you think there?
So we broke it down into 2 parts of, confidence to tell our clients things and also confidence or worried that we'll say the wrong thing on social media. And, you know, to be honest, sometimes I do have those little niggling doubts. And to be completely transparent with you guys, that's the main reason that I don't get on, you know, live stories and that sort of thing, because I'm too afraid I'd bugger it up and everyone will see. So yes, as health professionals, we do get worried that, you know, that'll happen. But I tend to give people advice. I do a lot of question and answers on my Instagram. There's a lot of things that I can't answer because they're very specific questions, like how many calories should I be eating? What sort of training should I be doing? I've never met you. I don't know your background. I can't answer those sort of things. But if you're going to ask me sort of more general things like, you know, can you give me some good fiber options, or you know, what are some ideas to add some protein to breakfast? They're sort of things that I'm confident to answer without really knowing your background or your health. Or they're sort of things that you could, you know, put out in a magazine or in a blog post or something like that. So I think the more general you keep it, and the more that it's more just advice more so than do this or don't do that, I think you can be confident that people can take it with a grain of salt. So my recommendation would be, or here are some ideas, here's not an extensive list of ideas or every single idea on the planet. Here's just a couple of ideas to get you started. Or, you know, it might work for you, it might not work for you. I see a lot of YouTubers especially who have big disclaimers on their videos.
Yeah, we have a disclaimer on our YouTube videos.
Yeah, so that's, you know, that's another way that you can do it as well. But I think if you go about it from a general, just advice giving, you know, perspective, that people won't take it as a black and white A or B, you must do that or you can't do that sort of thing.
And that's interesting too, Leanne, because I think that, you know, maybe without thinking about it, you might follow a similar approach to what I follow. So I definitely don't answer as many questions as you on the YouTube channel. But what I do is I get a lot of questions, and when I get a few with the same theme, I then answer that, and I'm answering it in a general way.
Exactly.
And that's why we can't really give personal advice via this medium, because people's situations are just too complex, and it's not ethical to do therapy or nutritional counselling that way. But while everybody's different, thank God there are common themes, and you can speak to those common themes and give people a lot of value that, like you say, you can take or leave. The other thing that we were talking about before, Leanne, was, and I think this is a really important point while we're talking about health professionals and social media. You know, you and I are very proactive on social media, and we do make mistakes, and we do run the risk of looking like idiots at times. And those things, you know, like we know, everything that's on the internet stays there forever. So, you know, things will come back to bite us at some stage. But I definitely feel like it's worth it, because I feel like if you look at the amount of YouTubers and bloggers and podcasters and Instagram influencers, there's a lot of people out there doing things that are less than evidence-based. And so as a, you know, a health professional working from an evidence base, I kind of feel like it's funny, because I think us health professionals, I think dietitians do this, I think psychologists do this. We kind of sit in our academic ivory towers and we poo-poo all of that stuff that's on social media. And at the same time, those guys are using all these really powerful mediums, and they're smashing us to the point where, you know, a dietitian, a psychologist might be the last point of call to manage your health, whereas we probably feel like we should be right up the top. And so I feel like when I work with, you know, I do mentoring of health professionals, and I say, I think it's part of our responsibility to get out there and use those same tools, even if we risk stuffing it up every now and then.
Because when you think about somebody who's putting out heaps of content on their YouTube, a lot of these girls or guys as well, could be really young, have no qualifications behind them. And the things that they're saying, I hear so many people talking about, you know, fat burners and that sort of thing, and it drives me insane, but they're not afraid to get up and get on camera and say these sorts of things. So even if you occasionally bugger up, front up, let your tribe know that, you know, I said this thing last week, actually guys, I've gone out and I've done a bit of research about it. This is actually the correct answer. It doesn't matter. People don't expect you to be perfect. You will bugger up every now and again, but if you keep the advice more general and more broad, at least you're showing up and you're giving it a go, and people are getting, you know, really valuable content from you, rather than a lot of these, you know, health and fitness bloggers who are promoting fat burners and supplements and all that sort of thing. So you may as well show up and give it a go, and risk occasionally buggering it up, which Glenn and I think I can speak for both of us, will do occasionally as well. At least we're having a crack. At least we're trying to influence people using evidence-based practice.